Hello, Grassroots Dems HQ. This is Ben Wikler, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, here to thank you for being part of the fight, the single biggest fight of 2023 that will shape the future of American democracy and absolutely determine the political fate of America's tipping point state. This election is so wildly important, it's hard to cram it all into one short video, but let me lay out four big things. One is we have a near total abortion ban in Wisconsin. The only way to change it, because Republicans dominate our state legislature, the only way to change it is for it to actually get looked at by a fair court. Attorney General Call, our Democratic Governor Tony Evers have sued to rule that this ban is invalid. But right now, our state Supreme Court is totally dominated by ultra anti-abortion activists. If Dan Kelly, the Republican candidate, wins, he will uphold this ban that was passed in the year 1849. If Janet Protasewicz wins, she will actually listen to the arguments people bring, and there's a pretty strong legal case that this ban should not be enforceable today. So reproductive freedom is on the line. Gerrymandered maps are on the line. Wisconsin has the worst gerrymander in the country. We're a 50-50 state. 6 of the 8 congressional seats are Republican. Republicans have near supermajorities in both chambers of our state legislature. The state Supreme Court chose these gerrymandered maps. They weren't passed by Republicans. They were chosen by the court. But if we win this race, the Supreme Court could actually revisit the maps, consider whether these maps are unconstitutional, and demand new maps, not in 2030, but now, this decade. Third thing, voting rights are on the line. Our state Supreme Court, the Republican majority, banned drop boxes. It made up a justification out of whole cloth in 2022. It helped to tip the race against Mandela Barnes and for Ron Johnson. We lost by 1 percentage point in that election. A state Supreme Court that believes in voting rights could make a gigantic difference for the presidential race in 2024, which could come down to Wisconsin, more likely to be here than any other single state. It'll affect Tammy Baldwin's Senate race re-election. It'll affect the House races, especially if we have fair maps. But that leads us to thing number one. In 2024, if Republicans lose, they could still try to overturn the election. And if the Republicans win this Supreme Court race, then that effort could succeed. Republicans came within 1 vote on our state Supreme Court of overturning the presidential election in 2020. It was the closest they got in any state with their legal challenges. So this election is critical to preventing Republicans from undoing voters' choices and overturning the next presidential race. So for all those reasons, your help makes a huge, huge difference. Grassroots Democrats HQ has poured 100,000 phone calls into the state of Wisconsin in 2022. That makes a gigantic difference for us, especially the flood of calls to young Democrats, from young Democrats to college students. Frankly, all the calls. We're a state where elections come down to tiny margins. We would have a Supreme Court majority now if we'd won 5,982 more votes in 2019. That was an election that came down to less than half of a percentage point. If we'd won then, we would have had a majority in 2020. We would have had fair maps in 2021. We would have won a Democratic trifecta and 2 more House seats in 2022. We can't lose by a margin like that this time. We have to win. And your help, your volunteering, your commitment makes that possible. So for all those reasons, thank you so, so much. And let's get to work.